Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, everyone. Those of you attending. Oh, wow. It's a long day. I was thinking about what I'm going to say. And when I began this series, I called the Pacification of the American Male. I thought it was going to be one particular subject matter. Someone asked me, what does pacification mean? Before I can respond, they say, you mean a weak man? Yes, a weak man. Not only talking about a weak man pertaining to race. Race has nothing to do with a behavior. It's the thought that we think produced the behavior. The thought that we think produced the behavior. Excuse me. We follow our thoughts. Our thoughts guides us, and then we show the behavior. So it's a pleasure to come before you. It's my hope that what I share with you will be inspiring, informative, and give you information and go along with what you're going through. So this is part 2, Proudification, subtitled Confessification. Before I continue, I want to do a recap, a couple of points I want to make. The last time I came before you, let me get my notes. For those of you who have not watched the last session, I said that we all have feelings of repressed guilt that needs to come to the surface. What I mean by repressed is when we push down a thought, our feeling, our behavior under the surface in our mind and don't deal with it the right way. It's called repression. And then somebody may come approach us, husband, wife, brother, sister, or even a stranger or employee may say something to us and we may just snap. And why? Because they trigger something that caused us in the first place to hide and conceal what we're going through. So we all have repressed guilt. The key is to ask for help. We must begin to ask for help. If we don't ask for help, how does someone know that we need help? It's like asking someone to pray for you, but you don't tell them what to pray for. So they just pray a general prayer and then nothing happens. So you have to be specific. In the last message, I said we must do a self-examination. We are, for those of you who are in the medical field, or those of you who have gone to the doctor and for a physical examination, the doctor will ask you a series of questions and then tell you to put on this robe and begin to do the examination and determine that you need to lose weight, you need to exercise, you need to do whatever. And you have the choice to follow and to obey them if you want to seek the desired results. However, some individuals refuse to do a self-examination on themselves to see where the cause of the problem, the root cause of their problem. By refusing to do a self-examination on yourself, you lack the knowledge to pull yourself out of the rut, so to speak. So you must do a self-examination on your behaviors, your interests, your personality, your weakness and your strength. And if you need to get a GED and go back to school to better yourself in society, because without a GED, it holds you back for job promotion or even being hired. So it's not about race. They don't want to hire me. It's the skills that you possess. And if you need to go to college to educate yourself more in a certain field, then go. And if you have any goals, pursue your goals. See how you can accomplish your goals. Don't be someone that say, I want to be a football player. I want to be a rapper. I want to be a singer. I want to be a musician. Seek your true potential. Seek your true potential, and then you can go places. And a lot of people fail because what they do, they center themselves around the idea that they can be a basketball player or a next well-known rapper, and they don't achieve their goals, and they get mad with self, and they blame others for the lack of their success. There again, self-esteem raising its head and causing an individual to feel bad about himself. So sometimes, if you're not meant to be a rapper or a basketball player or football player, seek your true calling and know how you relate to self and how you relate to others. That is a plus and a must. And you must choose lifestyle that is productive, lifestyle that benefits you. lifestyle does not hurt other individuals. And we live in a society, I was thinking today that we live in an evil, evil world that people, government, politicians, friends and family members, strangers, employers, this world is evil. People are doing evil things for their sole benefit. And when we focus on only on self, being self-centered, selfish, and prideful, and what's in it for me, how does it benefit me, what I can get out of this and that, and we only focus on ourselves, we're not looking into the mirror on the outside of us to say, you know what, I see. When we begin to look beyond ourselves, when we put ourselves on the shelf and begin to look at other individuals, it's not about what's in it for me, what can I get from it, how does it benefit me, or that's not my interest. Because if you are interested in something and someone else is not interested in what you're interested in, that's fair. But don't get mad, when they don't show interest in what you're interested in, especially if you're married, because everyone has to have their own, I call free time or play time or me time, where you begin to examine yourself and see what makes you happy and what keeps you going. So a lot of individuals don't want to do a self-assessment to see where the fault lies, what is the root cause, and why they're experiencing what they're experiencing. So to be prideful, when we are prideful, some people have gone to illegal drugs, alcohol, drug use, illicit sex, fornication, adultery, gambling. You can name many things. And why do they do those things? Because it makes them feel better about themselves. They call it numbing the pain. They don't want to do a self-assessment of their self. So they just take to the wars, alcohol, drugs, fornication, a need to feel wanted, a need to feel a place in society. And those things only last but a short time in their life, and then they have to seek something else. It's like you try one thing, you get the pleasure from it, and you ever ate something and it tastes so good and you want more and more and more, and all of a sudden the next time you take a bite of what you loved before doesn't taste anymore. It doesn't taste good, so you just don't even bother anymore because you consume it so much. You numb yourself, you don't enjoy the pleasure, so you need something else to help you feel better. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that you have issues and you have problems. So we must confess that we are filled with pride. Confess it's our fault, not the other person's fault. And acknowledge that when we refuse to listen to instruction or advice, and we face consequences, it's not because of the other person, it's because of us. We brought it on ourselves. And we, being males or black females or black male or brown people or whatever race you want to call someone, we need to admit that we are our own worst enemy. We are the cause of our behavior. We are the cause of our problems. We must admit that we need to ask for help and seek help. And I must admit, in my lifetime, in my experience, when I worked in a prison, when I worked in the jail, when I worked on the road as a cop, when I did undercover work, when I did a lot of things, I got to interact with a lot of people. And because you got to be a doctor, a lawyer, psychologist, you got to be a multitude of professionals roll up into one. So when I discovered that, I noticed that a lot of individuals would not admit that they have issues, and sometimes they will take to a gun or hang themselves or kill themselves or push themselves in their own self-imposed cocoon because they don't want to be dealing with the public. They don't want to deal with no one. They just want to deal with what pertains to them. When we focus ourselves on self, we miss the opportunity to help others. We have various examples of pride. I'm going to name a few. We have a physical appearance, putting down someone because of how they look, their hair, their clothes color, how they dress. And then we uplift ourselves, say we better than that person, and that's not good. So that is a form of pride that you and I may have done over our lifetime. When we can be blinded and numb to the things that we said and do towards others, that it becomes so normal, like tying your shoes, until someone comes to us and say that behavior and what you said and did to that person is wrong, you will never know. And how we relate to others. How do you relate to others, and how do you relate to yourself? Is it warm, lovey-dovey? You know, are you a listener? Excuse me, are you phony? Are you a pretender? When you listen to your friend, are you really listening? Are you listening so they can shut up and then you can just come in and say something? To be a good listener is to listen to what they're telling you and then respond if they ask you questions. And then I see Denise on. Thank you for joining. And so when we must admit that we have problems, and is our personality, is your personality, and people say we got a juvenile personality. Is your personality so good? Is it positive? Do your personality, when you walk in a room, people say, wow, sister so-and-so, brother so-and-so, and they feel good because they know they can get a good word from you. Or when you walk in the door, say, oh yeah, hey, he or she go, man, I don't even want to see you, because they always put me down or saying something. They don't have nothing positive. It's the same old, same old, same old. And how do people see you? Do people see you? And when they see you, can they look at you and say, you know what? I've known this person when they was young, and look how they have grown. That you have a positive influence on the person. You think about it. We always say, this is not a put down, this is a thought. We always say, so-and-so had a great impact on me, and I went to school, I got a job, I got a college degree. I'm better than myself because sister so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Hello. Hold on a second. So we say, so-and-so motivate me to become whatever. But have you ever heard an alcoholic, a drug dealer, someone who's living on the street, an adulterer, a fornicator? Have you ever met anyone who living a bad lifestyle on the street, hanging out with the homeboys, and they saying to themselves, you know what? I became a drug dealer, a homosexual, a lesbian, or whatever they decide that's not productive, is not positive. Have you ever heard anyone come to you and say, you know what? I became this person because I followed in the footsteps, because they was a great, great motivator. They inspire me to be the best drug dealer I can be. They inspire me to be the best whatever you choose to be. You don't hear that. But so if you never hear that, then why are people doing the very things that they claim to better themselves, but it doesn't better themselves? It just it send you down a downward spiral. So how do people receive you? Is it fleshly, or is it carnally, or it's like, wow, I'm glad to see you? We all have pride. It can be useful, and it can help others, and it also can help ourselves. We must learn the difference of pride. Is like a snake. It appear to be good, and then it turn around and bite us. Our friends, our family members, our brothers, our sisters, our husband, our wives, you know, these individuals, even strangers, can come to us in a manner of appearing to be so good, they, you know, with the words and their behavior, but they have a hidden agenda, a hidden motive behind the things they do. So when you recognize pride in yourself, you'll be more easy to recognize it in someone else, because pride is a root cause. We said the love of money is the root of all evil, but pride, before destruction come, pride follow it. So we must learn the difference, to recognize it. We are the key to opening the door to our own weaknesses. A lot of individuals don't like to admit that they have weaknesses. They focus on the strength, but not the weaknesses. When you admit that you have a weakness, my thing is that whenever I meet someone, I always say, I met them to show me my strength, reveal my weaknesses, and we can complement each other, and then I can learn from them how to better myself in my weak areas, and they may learn something from me because I may be stronger in them. But both parties must admit that they have issues, and we are living in a society today that people don't know how to properly communicate their problem. They don't know how to I have a friend. They don't want to admit that they have issues, so they kill themselves. Like I mentioned, they go to illicit drugs, they become an alcoholic, they a sip of alcohol and then get more and more and more and more, and then it becomes, if you drinking alcohol, those of you who ever listen to this, if you drinking alcohol like running water, then you have a problem. You can say it relaxes me. It does this. It does, yeah, everything is beneficial, but it's not helpful. So we must learn how to communicate properly when we meet people. And that is our number one problem, not knowing how to properly communicate to ourselves and to others. We must listen to ourselves, listen to what other people are saying, and from what they are saying, then we address their concern. If the individual did not ask you your opinion or to comment on what they're saying, telling you, then you should just simply listen, because some people just call you and say, can you listen to me? Excuse me. Our communication. If our communication that is driven by emotions always fade away, excuse me, and then something else replace it. Our communication on what we think, feel, want, and believe should not be driven by emotion. Emotion gets us in trouble. Emotion is another root, another stem, another leaf from I call it a leaf on a tree. Think about it. Think about the past. We have done a lot of things in the past because of emotions, emotional attachment, friends, mother, father, brother, sister, you name it. When we make that choice based on our emotion, sometimes we look back at it and say, oh man, I should have never done that. And we regret the emotions because we did not think with a rational mind. We just responded in a way because that's how it makes us feel. We must admit that we all have pride. We can be self-centered and selfish. And I say this and I get back to what the thought came. And if you are concerned about what in it for you, how does it benefit you, then you are being very prideful. A lot of individuals are in a position to help people. It don't have to be money. It can be advice. Excuse me, can I offer my advice? They're going to say yes or no. We must be in a position to help people. It doesn't have to be monetarily. It can be just advice from your experience. But most individuals say, well, that's them. I'm not even going to get in there. I'm not going to get involved. That's their problem. Everyone is in their own self-cocoon. And then when something happens, I'll give you an example. If someone shoot up the school or do something in the neighborhood, and people say, oh, yeah, I know that because I heard through the grapevine, or I see their lifestyle change, and they didn't bother to tell someone in authority because they didn't want to be involved. But you and I know if somebody touch your child, male or female, you're going to go off the chain to protect them, to get revenge and whatever. Only when things affect us, then we are more concerned about them. It's being self-centered. Nothing wrong with being concerned about your little circle. But when you're so locked into your circle and you don't see all the people around you, and that's their problem, that problem, you know, it's like I used to say, if you die tonight or whenever we all die, when people look back and say, I learned a lot from brother or sister so-and-so or whomever, and they send me down the right path, you have left something that someone have built upon. If you're living a lifestyle, what is that person going to say? Oh, well, so-and-so dead, you know, I'm glad that, you know, they should have stopped a long time ago, you know, I wish I had said something, you know, that's wrong, and whatever our mind tell us that at moment, but it's too late. It's too late. We should wake up in the morning, even though we have our 9-to-5 jobs, and do what we need to do to get paid, to get a salary. Some of us want to venture out our own and have a side business. That's fine. But we should not be so self-centered and so prideful that we are too good for our own self, that we cannot be concerned about other people. When we are not concerned about others around us, then we miss the opportunity to be helpful. So we must learn how to properly communicate when it comes to you and I being prideful. And our communication should be based on compassion, honesty, loyalty, and spontaneous. Our communication should not be based on feelings. You know, if you hear something, you could be honest with the person, even if you're telling them the truth. How often have we or fudge the truth, lie, or not tell them the truth, and they go out and do what we told them, and then they get mad because they listen to us. So we must be honest when we respond to people. Be spontaneous. Just say, "Oh, can I do something for you today?" I remember when I was working and I went into a Burger King, and I spoke to this young lady in front of me. I said, "Hello, how you doing?" She said, "I'm doing okay." She looked at me like I was trying to hit on her, like I was using Player Handbook Chapter 5, Subtitle 2 when I'm in Burger King. So I looked at her and she said, "Excuse me," with that certain look. I said, have anyone ever did something good for you?" She said, "Mm-hmm." I said, "I'll tell you what, here's my number. If you ever want to do lunch," or she like to go to Burger King, "just call me one day and I'll buy you lunch." So that's okay. She's okay. And I walk up to the sunset. I could tell that when she first saw me talking to her, she thought I was coming to try to hit on her, to get a number, to do whatever. But I was a spontaneous, it was a spontaneous action because I felt like it that day. Was no hidden motive. It was no, I'm gonna get a number and then play or whatever. It was nothing about that. So 2 months later, she did call me and say, "Remember me? I'm gonna take you up on what you offer." I said, "Okay." And I met her at Burger King because she worked around the corner somewhere. And I bought her lunch and I rode off in the sunset, and I haven't seen or heard from her when I did that. So that was a spontaneous action. That was another form of communication. It was verbal. It was my behavior. So communication doesn't always have to be in words. It can be a form of communication. We live in a society where everyone is about themselves, about my little me world. It's like, okay, I read something today that a lot of movie stars and actors have a lot of fake likes, fake friends that push up their numbers. And I know you can spend money and have them make you very popular with the likes and the 1,000 likes and all this kind of stuff. And people have a bunch of likes on Facebook, a bunch of likes on Instagram and whatever. And they say, "Oh, I'm popular because I got a bunch of likes." But if you listen and read what they're putting on their Facebook page or Instagram or any social media site, does it benefit you? Are you learning something from what they're saying? If it's good, that's fine. But what is my point? A lot of individuals will buy the likability on social media site and have no substance in anything they're saying. So we must not be driven by emotions of how many likes, but be able to just say, "Am I communicating my message to people?" And if I read what you put and I like it, I like it. But if you read something that someone else put and they're your friend and you don't respond, then the question is, okay, you're all about self. If you're all about your likes, ability, and what you put out there on any social media site, that is a form of pride, because when you have your thousands of legitimate likes or 1,000 legitimate followers, and you very rarely even, I don't expect you to hit every 100,000 in person or more like that. But if you want to acknowledge people that's a part of your social media clique, thank you. I just thought about it. This is not a part of my message, but I just thought about it. It's that it's not, when this came to me, it's not a part of my message. It's what social media has its purpose. It has its function. It can be used good. But when people are so self-centered and prideful that they must have thousands of likes, regardless of what they put on Facebook, women with thongs on showing her rear end, and she get a bunch of likes, and she said, "Click on this link, you go to another, and you see me in my private studio," whatever. So she want the likability, but there's no substance. What can I learn from her? Yeah, she may get people, that guys run to the channel to see how she looked behind closed doors in her private chat room, but social media should not be used in that form. Of course, it's going to be used that way. That's my opinion. I don't have to watch it and I turn it off. I don't follow it. But my point is that is another form of pride. Social media will reveal you. I don't have to be in your home. Social media will reveal how you respond to people, how you respond to what they say and what they do. Social media will reveal to you, are you self-centered? You got your clicks, you got your likes, and you don't even take the time out to like somebody else who's following you. That is a form of, it's not about, I got to have 100,000. It's the message that the person put out there. We should be focused on helping others to give them something that we don't have. I do not have a college degree. hello, my friend, Carolyn, I don't have a college degree. I have a high school diploma. Okay, that's fine. I can help other people with the knowledge and experience I have. And the thought came to me that I'm going to say when I was saying self-assessment. I remember when I was small and young and going to school, I used to stutter a lot, words like stress, shrimp, the S word, TH word. I still do it once in a while. And sometime when I would talk in front of certain individuals, they'll say, oh, they start laughing at me and say, oh, you pronounced that word wrong. But none of them have never said, you know what, you pronounced that word wrong. This is how you pronounce it correctly, and point me in the direction better. Only one teacher when I was in elementary school saw that I had an issue. She assigned me for a speech therapist class, and I'm better now. I don't stutter at length. And then I put together a video saying this is me, where they show all the books I have wrote. And I look back and I say, you know what? Back in the day, did I ever thought that I'd be an author seeking my goal, my dream to publish myself? Because back then I had a self-esteem issue. I may pretend and fake it and front it, but deep down behind my book cover in the table of contents, I call the table of contents of anybody's book is the words that you speak. So when you listen to someone talk to you, they may have a good book cover, a good looking man or a good looking woman, but when they open their mouth and speak to you, they're telling you that they're exposing their table of contents in their mind, are revealing to you what they think about this and that. It's not about putting down the person. It's about helping them in their areas of weakness. May I offer you a suggestion? The person will say yes or no. Don't assume, don't act, I'll call this, don't ask the question within yourself, give yourself the answer, and then not even bother to ask them what should it do and what should it say. Don't do that. Just simply ask them the question, allow them to say yes or no, and leave it like that. So that was my self-esteem issue, that it bothered me. It affected me as I was growing up. I had to ride the horse and do what I need to do. I call it the mental horse in my mind, the bucking and kicking and not accept what people say. So we must begin to fight. We must fight our own self-talk that tells us that we are nothing. And we have young men in the Black community. I'm Black, so I'm going to speak because I don't know about the white community, but in the Black community, they have a self-esteem, self-centered, prideful issue. They may come from a single parent home, I'm not condemning that, but when they have no one that they can go to, what they're going to do? They're going to, the boys in the hood are going to be their friend, their mother, and their father. But they need to be taught. And the reason why they're on the corner and doing what they're doing is because of lack of self-esteem, and by selling drugs, they're doing illicit things, they make themselves feel good and they're prideful and they run out and go think. I read something the other day say when individuals stand in line to get expensive shoes, if anyone, hello, my daughter Kiki, F and Carolyn and Denise, when individuals go out and stand in line and buy expensive shoes and jewelry, they associate themselves, they associate their identity with what they're wearing. They don't have identity on their own. Oh, so-and-so got a Gucci bag, so-and-so got the 300 pair of Jordan, and they live in a home with their homeboys, or they're living out on the street. We as individuals should not buy clothing, any kind of clothing, to say it identify us. We should identify, people should identify us by the things we say and the things we have done and the things we are doing to better ourselves and better the community. And we must learn to have compassion for self. We must have compassion for ourselves. We must learn to understand self. You might say, what does that mean? How do you understand self? Like I mentioned, you do a self-examination and say, you know what? I'm tired of living this way. It's my fault. So-and-so didn't make me do this. I choose to do this. But pride gets in the way and you start justifying not to do anything. And then yourself, and then you blame. And then years pass and you say, oh, I wish I'd have done this 10 years ago. But it might be too late. You get married, you have kids, and your dream is followed. So we must begin to understand self. And a lot of individuals do not, like I mentioned when I start this message, it has nothing to do with race. Race is this, playing the race card, the race card. Oh, it's the white man, the white man, the white man. Excuse me. We have black individuals that are racist against their own kind. I mentioned in the last message, you let two sisters, a light-skinned sister, or we call them a red bone, and a black female, I bet you, and you probably have experienced that, they're going to be using the word race and the N-word and slinging it back and forth because of the color of a person's skin. So we should not be used by any race to get what they want. It's like playing the race card. I got a message on my YouTube channel called Playing the Race Card. Let's just play me. So we must understand ourselves, and we must, and I ask you this, do you forgive yourself? When you look in the mirror and get dressed in the morning and you do whatever you have to do you forgive yourself for your mistakes? Do you forgive yourself for the things you have done in the past? And when was the last time that you really forgave yourself for doing something wrong? Or when have you pat yourself in the back and say, I did a good job there? When have you forgave yourself for your mistakes, your acts, your sinful behavior, whatever? When have you last forgave yourself, and when have you forgave someone else? Or do you say, well, I'm not going to forgive them because what they have done to me? No, forgiveness is forgiving yourself. Forgive them regardless of what they don't do, but forgive them for what they did to you. That when you refuse to forgive yourself, when you refuse to forgive others because what they have done to you, what it doesn't benefit you, all that is pride. Pride is a snake, multiple head. We all are pride for everything that we do comes with pride. I gave this example. If I say, can I borrow $20? And you have the $20. Two things gonna happen. Okay, I'm gonna give you the $20. When are you gonna pay me back? The other option is, I don't have the money. You say, I don't have the money, but you do have the money. Why? It's the motive. It's the motive behind the choices that we make. What is your motive? If your motive is about self, the motive that we choose reveal a self-centeredness in our pride. We must have compassion toward others. We must have compassion about self. We must begin to look in the mirror. I was writing, I said, every time I write a book or speak before people, I always use myself, because you can't say, oh, he's talking about me, and I use myself. You can't beat me up because I'm talking about me. So we all have issues. Like I mentioned, we all have issues. We have a self-esteem issue. And when we don't want to admit that we lack compassion, that we are self-centered. What do you mean I'm not self? I got a job, I got a college degree, I got a house, I got the money in the bank. Those things, do that find pride? It can, if you're using it to make someone feel bad. Well, I got a college degree and you just dropped out of school. Or a husband and wife are married together and she says, I make more money than you, and you just got a 9-to-5 job. You need to listen to me. Pride. So pride, and this, like I mentioned, I hope that if you listen to this later, you see the things that you're doing now. If you have not discovered it, you may say, wow, I've been prideful last night. I've been prideful the other day. I need to confess. I must admit that I've been prideful. I need to go back to that person and say, please forgive me for what I said to you. I was wrong. I was driven by emotion. And if they don't say anything, if they don't accept it, then do that. Don't worry about it. So our compassion should be driven and be inspired by understanding, accepting, and forgiving. Understanding that the nature of our problem and how to operate in our problem, how are we going to operate in our strength, and how are we going to operate in our weaknesses? We must have an understanding about that, accept that we have a problem and then we need the help. Pride deceives us to think that we don't need the help. And I said this in one of my messages. I say a woman will get on the phone and call her best friend and say, my husband, my brother, or so-and-so, or they have issues. They will share with a woman that they trust real quick. Men's, when they tell their father, if their father live in the home, or their grandfather, but very rarely men do not go to men like a woman will go and just say, I know you got a lot of experience. They go to a trustworthy person that they feel that can give them a good answer, and they will be able to accept the answer, but they don't do that. So they stick to themselves and they keep, I'm a man. And they don't, I'm not saying a man should be girlish. I'm not saying a man should be thin in his thinking, but there's nothing wrong with a man seeking counsel from another man that he trusts, that will give him good guidance, give understanding, and accept his fault, not condemning, not say, you man, you so-and-so, man, you got women running behind you so-and-so, man, you got an issue, dump that broad. No, you don't need no brother or sister like that. You need someone to say, sit down, what do you want? What does it cost? You know you did the wrong thing. You're doing it wrong. You're not doing the right thing. Someone that will listen to you, give you the facts. Forgiving. 1 and 2, forgiving is not centered by understanding and accepting. It does not mean approval. It means to forgive the person, let it go, have self-respect for yourself, look forward for a better future in your life. We must begin. And I mentioned earlier, how do you respond to criticism? How do you respond to criticism? Do you change your mood? Like, oh, gee, why did you say that to me? Oh, man. And then all day long, you're snapping at other people. Do your self-esteem drop? Do you use, like I mentioned when I was young and I was growing up, and people used to tease me, oh, Anthony, you have a big head. Okay, I couldn't do nothing about my head. To me, it didn't look big, but to other people, it did. It laughed, and you can probably laugh now. And I say, well, I can't shrink my head in. So I had a self-esteem issue, but people say things when you're young in school and they make you feel bad. And then when I used to talk, like I said, I used to stutter and I say certain words, and instead of them saying, well, Anthony, don't pronounce the word that way. Why don't you just pronounce it this way? Or I got this book that will help you. They don't do that. They just pounce on you and pounce on you and pounce on you. And some individuals take pleasure in doing that. You may say that's stupid, but some individuals, friends and family members and people you associate around take pleasure whipping you with words and lies and accusation. So the negative opinion about self is reinforced, because it's like mama said, Dad, you never amount to nothing, just like your dad. So the child grows up and someone say you never amount to nothing, they're going to remember what their parent or someone said to them when they were young. Excuse me. Pointing out our weaknesses without giving help. If someone is pointing out your weaknesses and they're not giving you helpful advice and solutions, you should not listen to them. You should walk away, say, excuse me, I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't want to continue this conversation. Like I mentioned, we must learn how to properly communicate with other people. I understand what you're saying. I don't want to discuss this anymore, and walk off. I understand what you're saying, but tell me why you're saying what you're saying. And then listen to what they're saying. Say, I learned something from this, but I'm not going to accept that. We must listen to learn, because it's like peeling the onion, the layer of the onion. Sometimes we hear things that will make us cry emotionally and physically. We can see the physical tears, but the emotional tears we don't see. We must recognize that we all have weaknesses. We can put selfishness, pridefulness, self-centered, and self-talk. We self-talk ourselves all day long. We say things, we talk a good game, we say things that beat us. We whip ourselves with our own words. That's what I'm trying to say. We whip ourselves with our own words. Excuse me. So when we point out our weaknesses and give help, then it helps others. And I learned when I did this particular series, I say, wow, it's very rare that people will confess their faults, their attitude, their whatever. And when you learn from your fault and your weaknesses, it helps you, and you die to that one weaknesses and you add it to your strength. You should use your strength to help with your weakness. If you see that you have an issue, then go to the person that you trust, one that's not going to gossip, and tell your business in the street, someone that you trust, and just simply say, can you help me? What do you think I should do about that? They may not give you the answer that you want, but is the answer wrong? Because the answer they give you, is it an answer, if you apply it to your life, you will have to die to something that you thought was good? Think about it. We all have issues. A lot of individuals are afraid to admit them because the self-talk, the self-appearance, because the world that they had created for themselves, they got a good job, they got a college degree behind the name, they got a nice car, they got husband and wife and kids. So on the surface, they appear to have no problem. You and I we have probably read a paper, no friends that have killed themselves. We say, they kill themselves? No, not them. They're in jail, they're selling drugs, or they are alcoholic. I never knew that because on the surface, they didn't reveal that. They kept it to themselves. So we're living in a society where individuals are all about themselves. They are very manipulative. There's one of these words I'm having a problem pronouncing. They're being manipulative. They are doing things and saying things to you and I to get us to respond, and they deceive us to think that what they're telling us benefits us, but it actually benefits them. It reminds me of the book I wrote called Still in the Plantation, It Benefits Me. When you escape from the plantation, it benefits. When you escape from the plantation, how do they get you back? They whip you with lies and accusation. They get you back with lies and truths. I call them little cookies. So people, when you escape from someone's idea of being self-centered, prideful, and whatever you can think of, and you escape from their plantation, they're going to be manipulative to get you back by playing on your emotions, your daughter, your father, your brother, your sister, your husband, whatever you can think of. They're going to use those things to get you to feel bad, play on your emotions, make you feel bad, start justifying things, and then you start saying, well, they're all right, did this, did that, and then you start doing them. So I'm not telling you nothing that I have not experienced myself. And I cannot tell you females what it's like to have a baby. I can read a book and say, this is what the book says you're going to experience. So when a person experiences something or is experiencing something, they are in a better position to say, this is what I'm going through. This is what I have gone through. This is what I have relied on. This is what got me through. I think you need to consider the same thing. You have no power to make the person do anything, but you can give them information and allow them to think for themselves. And believe it or not, some people are blinded to the truth because they have set themselves up in their own little self-centered world that they're not aware that they're even prideful. It's like tying your shoes the same way, putting on your shoes every day the same way. They don't see that. And then you come along, something happened, and you point out that, hey, I can show you another way to put on your shoes. Or I can show you another way how to tie your shoes. Two things should happen. Get out of my face. I don't want to hear you. I know how to tie my shoes and put on my shoes. Or they're going to say, show me. And most people would not say, show me a better way how to communicate. Show me a better way so I cannot be prideful. We see that. I know we see it in children in school, children growing up, children living their parents, even adults. We have adults acting like children because they want to be young. No, some individuals are blinded because they never heard that their behavior, self-centered, being prideful, never did a self-assessment of self. Do a self-assessment, and for whatever reason, they don't even bother to listen, because just because you are doing something that worked well for you many years ago, does it really make it right? Does it really define that it was the right thing that you're doing? If you really look at the things that you have choose to do, you may have gotten pleasure from it, maybe you experienced a little bit of pain, but was it the right thing to do? and you may step back and say, no, it was not, but it got you over the hump. It's not about you. It's about doing the right thing. You must die to self, count the cost, count the loss. It's not about winning. I gotta win this one. Sometimes the best is just walk away, and for another day, just walk away. If your motive is revenge, then you're prideful. If your motive is justifying how to get over, you're being prideful. I hope, like I said, that whenever you make a choice, what is your motive? Are you being self-centered? Are you being prideful? And if you're not sure, do homework. Look up what the word prideful, self-centered, anything, just do your own homework. So our lack of awareness of being prideful, self-centered, and selfishness delivers bad consequences to us. Our ignorance is no excuse. There's a thing in the book says ignorance is no excuse. Even the judge would tell you that ignorance is no excuse. Ignorance can affect our self-esteem, problem about ourselves, and how we communicate with others. Don't be ignorant to a certain thing. Educate yourself. Yeah, you may have a certain profession, but what's wrong with reading a book about something else? Try to broaden your mind in various areas of communication. If you lack, I recognize my weakness is in English and pronunciation and stuff. So I get a lot of books and I read and I listen to audio tapes and I ask people questions. I've gone to school to learn English and stuff. So I recognize my weakness and I see what I need to do to better myself. So don't be ignorant to what you're going through. And people don't like, they always say, well, I'm not ignorant. No, I'm not bad-mouthing you. But if you don't want to better yourself and you have not gone back to school to get your college degree, I'm not college degree, but get the GED because you drop out of school. When you drop out of school, you have no GED, so you can't get a job, you can't grow in society. So your options are limited. And if you lack a self-esteem problem, you see homeboy on the corner selling drugs and he got the Benjamin, you're going to say, well, I guess I better sell me some drugs because that's the only thing I know. No, that's not the only thing you know. That's the only thing you choose to know. So don't be ignorant. Forgetting, we all forget. But don't let your forgetting to do this and that allow it to affect your self-esteem. Don't let, well, I'm getting old, I'll just forget. We all gonna get old and we forget. If you see that you're forgetting, then write down what you forgot. Start practicing and remembering stuff. What I'm showing you and revealing to you, a lot of things can affect our pride, self-esteem, and cause us to be self-centered. And God forbid, don't be in denial, because when we are in a denial mindset, we lock out the truth. We don't hear, we don't see, we don't perceive, we can't understand, we can't grasp the understanding of being compassion, the loyalty, and spontaneous, because we are afraid to change. In knowing the consequences, a lot of things that happen, so every time I do something, this keeps happening to me over and over and over. Well, why do you think it's happening to you over and over? To teach you a lesson, for you to stop and say, wow, this doesn't happen to me 10 times. I think I need to learn something from this. And if you don't know why this is happening to you, you see the cause, you see the results, then you go to someone that you can trust, ask questions by your experience and what you heard in your research, then you make a better choice and you may not experience the consequences anymore. So don't be in denial. And a lot of individuals, they are afraid to change, like I mentioned, because they are used to tying their shoes and putting their shoes on a certain way. So when someone comes to them to tell them a better way to do those things, they're afraid to change. So you have motive. Your motive behind not changing. And a lot of individuals do not have, like myself, we don't have an alternative choice. So we fall back on our emotions, our feelings, what's in it for me. We don't have a true path, a true alternative. Okay, I drop out of school. What's my alternative? Well, I can go to night class, get a GED, better myself. That's an alternative. Oh, I can't get a good job. I drop out of school. Well, I think I hang on the corner, drink some 40, drink some beer, hang out with my homeboys. I can sell a little dope here and there, give mom, dad, brother, sister, pay mom, pay my girl rent, whatever. It get me by. That is their alternative. So you have two alternatives that people choose. One is good, one is bound for destruction. So we must begin to evaluate our habits and the choices that we are committing. Everyone needs to be aware that we have issues, we have problems. And sometimes we will have to experience the consequences for us to get a knock on our head to wake up to not to do those things anymore. But some people get knocked on the head so long they get knocked out and they keep doing what they want to do. We must learn how to be aware. Without knowing how to be aware that we are prideful, self-centered, stubborn, selfish, ignorant, forgetful, we cannot make a proper decision in our lives. Not only in our lives, but in the lives of those who are close to us. We must commit to a self-examination of self on how we relate to self. When you look in the mirror, how are you relating to yourself? Are you negative, more negative than positive? Are you justifying to do this or not to do that? And then also, how do you respond to other people? It's not about what they should do for you or how they should respond to you. It's what you do. Hey, how you doing? And they look at you. I won't wave to them anymore. That's wrong. If you wave 15 times, that one time, you might say, you know what? Every time I see this person, they're always nice to me. Why am I doing that? And they may never. I'm just saying, don't allow your choices be driven by other people' negative behavior. As I mentioned, nobody going to tell you that they have become a successful drug dealer, an alcoholic, or whatever because they followed the path of so-and-so and they're glad they did. They're going to be more inclined to say, I became a successful businessman, a successful person because I listened, I died to self, I denied my pride, I corrected myself, I died to what I thought I knew, and I listened and applied these good thinking to my life, and it have bettered me, and my life has, I'm doing well in what I'm doing right now. Two coins. You flip and see what side, head or tail, you choose. We must learn from our mistakes and do not allow it to affect your self-esteem. When we make a mistake, we must learn from it. Don't assume that other people have made the same mistake. If you tell them and they say, I've done it and this is what I did and got me out of it, then you listen to what they have to say. There again, you have to choose. We must identify our priorities. If your priorities is all about you, what's in it for you, what can you get, it is affecting you and they're going to affect other people. So-and-so may want you to do something for them and you are in a position now. I'm not talking about money now. You may be in a position to help them because your priorities is wrong. It affecting them and it affecting you both ways. So we must learn how our priorities can affect our self-esteem and others. We learn from our mistakes. We should not give ourselves excuses, make excuses for what we, Lawrence, thanks. We must learn from our excuses. We must learn and not use excuses. Don't justify, well, I did try this and it didn't work. Well, guess what? I read a book the same with when I read a book where it said, you're going to face consequences, you're going to face obstacles, you're going to face disappointment. But if you push through, it's like a woman who giving birth to a child. She have to push through pains and night sleep and vomiting and all kinds of ailments until that 9th month she delivered that baby. Sometimes you and I must experience our own spiritual pregnancy within our mind. We must experience a spiritual pregnancy to be rid of that selfishness, that pridefulness, that stubbornness, or whatever you are seeing yourself doing. So this just came to me. So we all are experiencing some form of pregnancy when it comes to our behavior. We need to abort some of those behaviors that's causing us problems. We need not get impregnated by those thoughts that comes in our mind that will eventually lead us to be pregnant with bad intentions and bad motives. We must learn to forgive self, learn to forgive others, and we must not verbally abuse ourselves. And that will be the next topic I talk about. We must not verbally abuse ourselves with self-talk. I'm no so-and-so. My daddy left me. My mama left me. I don't have a father. I don't have a mother. We must not justify our lack of trying to better ourselves based on the circumstance that we are grew up in. We must begin. We must begin to understand self. I remember when I was growing up, I call it back in the days, before beepers and cell phones, a lot of teenagers that's growing up today, if you did not talk to them, they think that we had cell phones and pages and iPhones and laptops and all this stuff back in our day, but we did not. So we had a more family-oriented, communication was meant. You had to stay home and get a phone call. You had a house phone in your house. You didn't have a cell phone. You went work. You came home, listened to your answer machine, and you got your message. Now kids are born into a world where everything is social media and everything is like instant push of the button, whatever. It has its benefits, but it can be a downfall. People don't like to communicate anymore. They say, text me, put a happy face. Yeah, what that can do. We must not verbally abuse ourselves. If you don't get nothing I said out of this message, remember, our motive is the key. Self-esteem, pride, self-centered, being unaware, not learning how to properly communicate, in denial about you having a problem, refuse to ask for help, justifying, allowing people to manipulate you into doing something wrong, refusing to adjust to criticism. There's such thing as good criticism. It's you should be able to determine what is bad criticism and what is good criticism. You must be able to relate to people and say, you know what? I've been a knucklehead. I'm doing something wrong. We must be able to recognize that we have issues. And it just came back to me, excuse me. I mentioned early in the message about self-examination, self-esteem, self-examination, examining yourself. When I began this series called Confessification, I added vacation on it because that's my hook, like a song on the things that I say. I start off by saying, giving one message. As I prepared this message, I thought it'd be the last one, and it keep leading to other messages. I still have other messages, and I don't know when it's going to end. But then I thought about it. Before we had social media, it was a telephone and TV, and that's about it. And word of mouth and friends and family members. The people stayed close to their home. Now people travel and they have the social media to stay in touch with. Now, because of that, it being used for good, it being used for bad. So the self-esteem issue, I recall by doing this, I said, you know what? I wish I had learned a lot of things in the churches, in school, or from home, but my parents only taught me based on what they knew at that time, and I'm condemning them, no. What I'm saying is that we got our habits and our behaviors from those who are close to us, some bad and some good. But we shall be able to do a self-examination, put on a rubber glove, and stick it in our mind and begin to pull out those things that's not good for us. Self-examination and say, I'm going to do this. For those of you who are listening now, and those of you who will listen in the future or listen to anything I have said, I had to overcome a lot of issues, and I mentioned that we all have to. When I found it better when you hear someone confess what they've been through and what they're going through and what they're still going through, it kind of makes you go, I'm going through that too. But when you hear people prideful, stuck up and doing whatever, and you never hear them admit that they have issues, something's wrong. No one is perfect. They're just not sharing it with you, and that's true. They may not share it with you. They may be sharing it to someone close. So the messages that I put out, I'm always led to give certain topics. Some may be hard to swallow. Some may be hard to say, well, I see myself, you talking about me. No, I'm not talking about you. If I'm talking about you, then you're doing it. That's all I can say, because I don't know where this message is going to go to. So remember, we all are prideful. We all have a motive. We all do things based on that motive. And if you find that more of the choices you're making is benefiting you, then you need to do a self-examination. If you're condemning yourself that you're not achieving this and that, and you're using excuses, something's wrong. I close by saying this. I often wonder, back in the day, when the black trailblazers, the Sojourner Truths and Booker T. Washington, all these individuals in the past, they saw a problem. One person saw a problem, and they made a difference in what they've done for us, what they did in the past. We can benefit from what they did. There are some individuals want to take us back to the past and pretend this never happened, and let's start over again. They have a wrong motive. Always ask why people are doing and saying things. When people say things to you, are they deceiving you, manipulating you to get you to stay on their plantation of ideas and belief and give you a little truth, a little lie to appease you? And when you start thinking for yourself, you escape from their plantation of ideas and belief. So to get you back, they whip you with lies and accusations. You say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave. I'm sorry for thinking that way. We must begin to start thinking as an individual, not group thinking. Group thinking gets you in trouble. Begin to identify that you have a purpose in life. Are you going to follow the person that benefits you? I'm sorry, if you're going to follow the individual that inspire you, uplift you, give you knowledge, information, even if you don't like to hear it. With every operation, there's come surgery, there's come pain, there's come cutting, there's come healing in a form of deliverance. Allow this message to sink into you. You may know what I'm saying already. Take the bits, take whatever from this and apply it to what you already know to make yourself better. Pride, we always going to have pride. But the more we die to it, we begin to die to self, our problems, our issues, and then we'll be able to help other people. Sometimes I find out that when I'm going through issues, when I take my mind off of how do I take my mind off of self? Sometimes somebody will call me or I will communicate with someone on the street or a stranger or a friend. And when they ask me questions, if I'm helping them about if I'm helping them what they're going through, it helps me. It's not going to help me if I'm telling them to do this and I'm not doing it myself. I try not to do that. Begin to think by saying, tonight is my night where I'm going to begin a self-examination about my behaviors and the things that I have done and said. And most of all, if you have never done it, forgive yourself for self-talk, forgive yourself and forgive others, and compliment yourself. Don't wait for someone else to do it. Begin to uplift yourself. Begin to sing to yourself. Begin to think positive things about yourself. Don't let outer circumstances, outer situations, other people's lives, other people's goals, other people's dreams to cause your self-esteem to drop. It's a pleasure to bring this to you. It's my hope that you've been touched. You learned something from it. If you like what you heard, just comment on the Facebook page. I will upload it to my YouTube channel. There'll be a link there also. You can go there and listen to the other videos. And you also go to the button that says subscribe and hit the subscribe button. And if you have a comment, make a comment. And if you have a confession, not confess to me. If you have a confession that you feel that can benefit someone else, just put it on your Facebook page. You don't have to put it on mine. Let people begin to say, you know what, it's good to feel, oh, I open up. I don't have to take the alcohol. I don't have to smoke the drugs. It's good to open up. And when you open up, you'd be surprised how you feel, and you walk out the door and help arrive in so many forms. Thank you, and have a nice day.